listening to The TD Show.
Touchdown Titans! There are no flags on the field! It's a miracle! Tennessee has pulled a miracle!
Broadcast live on thetdshow.com.
There goes Davis! Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back! Auburn's going to win the football game! Auburn's going to win the football game!
2 hours of the best sports talk on the planet. Or at least out of Edmonton, Kentucky.
Batted up. Oh God! Stokely down the sideline! Can he catch him? Stokely! Wow! Touchdown! Denver! Unbelievable!
Coming to you live, your hosts, TJ and Dan.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the TD Show, Segment 3. If you're not watching us live on the tdshow.com, you just missed me and Dan duetting Garth Brooks. So if you're not watching live, you need to be.
It was something special, something for the ages.
That is correct. Only place you'll see it, the tdshow.com live feed, because we ain't recording that stuff.
No, sir. No, we don't want that left out there for people to see in the future. Might have a political career someday, and we do not need that.
All right, so here we go. Daytona 500 this weekend. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I believe you said?
1 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock our time. So get out of church, go order you a pizza, take it home, watch Daytona 500. It'll probably be on at Pizza Hut, too, so you can probably watch it there.
Probably just about anywhere.
Yeah, but I know for a fact that if you ask to watch it at Pizza Hut, they'll let you. There's not a better place to go after church on Sunday than Pizza Hut. Get there, food's already ready, eat the buffet, good people.
You know where I prefer to go after church on Sunday?
Where's that?
That recliner right behind us. Watch that TV.
Well,
but that's just me.
I like to be involved with the Pizza Hut crowd at Sunday. Usually you got Freddie Harbison there with me. There's a pretty normal group that's there when we show up on Sundays.
It's usually pretty packed.
Yeah. But it's worth it. It's good food, hot and ready when you get there. Got a nice salad. Anything you want. There's always going to be some kind of a chicken and bacon combination pizza, which is absolutely the best. I don't know if they get that out every day, but Sunday after church, they always have that chicken pizza out there. That's what I go for.
This advertisement brought to you by Paula Dan. Go visit your local Pizza Hut after church on Sundays. But talking about the Daytona 500, the pole sitter for the Daytona 500, the number 3 car, Austin Dillon, who will be driving number 3, Dale Earnhardt's old number, who had his crash at the Daytona 500.
And who actually won the pole, I think, 12 times. He didn't win a Daytona 500 until 1998. He actually said before the Daytona 500 that if John Elway could win a Super Bowl, he ought to be able to win Daytona 500.
That's right.
And so he pulled it off that year. Died there, as we all know, in 2001.
A lot of hard feelings over this.
Yeah,
it's our poll question today. Do you believe that the NASCAR should retire the number 3 car? If you haven't voted on that, go do that now. And if you have thoughts regarding it, it looks like everybody has voted no thus far. If you haven't voted, go on over there and vote no. It's 100% no's right now. If you want to call in, you can call in.
And tell us your thoughts on it. Tell us why. I know a lot of people are very attached to Dale Earnhardt Jr. I mean, I like Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale Earnhardt Sr. I'm sorry, I like Dale Earnhart Jr. too, but I really like Dale Earnhardt.
And we saw, there was a large NASCAR fall off in viewing after he passed.
After his death. Right, well, I think the next year we thought the changing of the guard would be to Dale Earnhardt Jr., and he did do well that year, and then as he fell off, I think
he's just been no senior, is what everybody wanted him to be.
He's been a team player.
Yes,
and he's actually been very well in point standings,
right?
And he's done great in a lot of things. Before we go any farther, while we're talking about it, I got something I want you to watch this weekend. Okay. So let's just do this before we get anywhere going, because I don't want to ruin it.
All right, let's do it.
Honey, get out my reading glasses. It's time for 1, 2, 1.
Daytona 500. We've already talked about MLB baseball. We're going to talk about college basketball and the other late winter, early spring things going on. what's left but the Daytona 500? As I mentioned, it's been 10 years since Junior won it. That was 2004. And he's always stayed near the top in points. He hasn't put many trophies in the garage. Been a good team player.
Continue.
The last time he won it was in 1994, as I just said.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Dillon has moved into the Cup chase, sitting on the pole in the number 3 card, and I don't actually have a problem with him driving the car. I'd even almost like to root for him because he wears a cowboy hat, but he seems like a cocky little punk.
I'll get to my opinion on it in a minute.
But I want to tell you what I want you to watch. What I want you to watch is Dale Earnhardt Jr. I think it's time for Junior to step up and say, now listen here, this is my daddy's track, and if you want to run his car on this track, you're coming through me. I think it could be good for both of them. I think Junior's going to win the Daytona 500. I don't know. I'm not guaranteeing that, but I want you to watch him. I want you to see how he races him. I want you to see how that number 3 car affects Junior being on that track.
Can I interrupt you for just a second?
You sure can.
Now,
We should have
time for strong words from a manly man.
They say he has grit. I wanted a man with grit.
If you're looking for trouble, I'll accommodate you. Otherwise, leave it alone.
Well, as you started talking about Junior there in the Daytona 500, you started stepping on very thin ground. I don't know if you started noticing me looking at you as you began to speak about Junior, but my guarantee this week, since you would not guarantee it, is Junior wins the Daytona 500.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I'm glad that we were on the same page on that one.
Hey, you got a 2-for-1 deal. What I want you to do is get a pizza and look to see if TJ's guarantee comes true.
But here's the deal with Austin Dillon in the number 3 car. Whether I think it should be. First, let me say that yes, I think it should have been retired before Austin Dillon had the chance to drive the number 3 car.
They've never retired a number before. If you're going to retire a number, you'd retire.
There's never been a senior down the track at the Daytona 500.
That's true. But I mean, they didn't retire 43.
Right.
The King's car.
Circumstances are different.
He didn't die.
Right.
But Junior's okay with it.
Right.
Everyone in Dale Earnhardt's family is okay with it.
Let me get to what I'm saying. My problem isn't with Austin Dillon. I think the number should be retired. However, that being said, I'm okay with Austin Dillon driving the number 3 car as long as he respects the number 3 car.
Respect the car,
and
exactly.
if you're going to drive the number 3 car, you better put your big boy pants on, and you better be good. Because if you're not going to be good, you're going to get hammered by every NASCAR fan everywhere.
Exactly. And you better know what comes with that 3 on your back. That 3 on your shoulder and that 3 right underneath your head on that door means I am a man. Exactly. I am going to run this car like a man. And if you don't run that car like a man, you're going to be called everything but a man by every NASCAR fan who's got number 3 tattooed on their arm, number 3 on the back window of their truck, and the number 3 flag hanging up in their garage. Those people are going to hammer you. You're going to be called a lot of things, and none of them are going to be a man.
Right. Here's the thing about NASCAR. In order to be a NASCAR driver, I believe you got to be a man. If you're not a man, then I don't think you're going to be very popular among NASCAR fans.
Or very good at it.
Right. Well, I mean, there are a couple of drivers that have been pretty good that I don't refer to as manly men.
I agree.
As a Tony Stewart. That being said, if Austin Dillon is like those 2 men that I'm referring to, that most people probably know who I'm referring to.
If he wears that cowboy hat and prances around like JG,
the cowboy hat I'm fine with.
Right. You also got to own that hat.
Right, exactly. You're putting a lot of eggs in those baskets there with the number 3 car and the cowboy hat.
You want to bring the 2 most popular, 2 most powerful, 2 most run you off the road drivers of all time into one shell. By God, you'd best own it.
Yeah, if you want to be successful, you better be ruining my guarantee and winning the Daytona 500 tomorrow.
And if not, you better be spinning somebody out on the Lazarus lap.
Preferably Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon. But, I mean, that being said, he has really put his back to the wall as a rookie driver doing this.
But, that being said, if he comes out and races how we believe he should, I'm going to be a Dillon fan for life.
He's got his back against the wall, and he can fall farther than anybody's ever fell before.
Exactly.
That being said, he set himself up to be with Senior and Petty and Johnson if he can be
understands.
successful.
Exactly. And it's not just going to be how he runs that car. It's going to be how he handles himself, how he acts off the track. You know, Johnny Manziel isn't driving a NASCAR for a reason.
Right.
You know, you got to have a certain persona about you. You got to have a certain mental toughness, I think, to be in this sport where people worship those drivers. That's not a team. I mean, people don't go out and wear their JGR jackets.
Right.
You know, they wear their jackets with the 3 on the back.
Even though the team is part of a big deal, and I mean, there's a lot of people who have kind of left the junior bandwagon for him going to Hendricks with Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. Because I mean, you know, he was supposed to be his dad. Those were his rivals.
Exactly.
You're supposed to beat them, not be on the same team as them.
Exactly.
All that being said, I mean, there were circumstances that forced him to leave where he was.
It
not
wasn't
completely
necessarily
his fault.
I agree.
But moving from the Daytona 500 to college basketball, a topic that's been spoke about a lot this week. Duke had the game won. They were up the entire game. And UNC really wasn't playing like they had been the past 3 weeks. And Duke just forgets to play the last 13 minutes of the game. I don't think they had a field goal in the last 9 minutes. Just played terrible. That said, UNC ended up winning the game by 8. Not on a last-second shot. They ended up winning the game pretty handedly there in the last 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, you knew they were going to win.
Right.
And as soon as it's over, UNC fans storm the court. And Dickie V, as soon as it happens with the call, wow, I'm really surprised that UNC fans are storming the court here. And, I mean, that's basically the consensus of everybody that they're a program that should know better. I mean, I saw it on Twitter all afternoon.
Kind of what I said a couple weeks ago when Lindsey Hubbard asked us the question here on our Twitter feed. Well, how do you feel about people storming the court? And I said, you've got to know your role. When you get to the top, you ought to act like you've been there. You got to act like you've been there before and like you know what's going on.
Here's what I'm going to say about it. I'm okay if you want to say that a team is better than that. If an elite program such as Duke, such as North Carolina, such as Kansas, Kentucky, Syracuse now, that's probably numbering them. I might be leaving out one or
Kansas,
two.
Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, maybe Michigan State, Syracuse.
Maybe Michigan State, right, as of recently, and Syracuse more recently with Boeheim. Here's the thing I'm going to say about it. If you're going to hold those fans accountable to know how elite your program is and how they should act after a win, then hold your players accountable. If they come down the floor and score, no beating your chest, no pointing, no screaming, no free goggles. You run back and you play defense. If you're going to hold those fans accountable in that arena, then you hold your players accountable too. Because it's not cute. They're doing the same thing those fans are doing when they're rushing the floor. If you're that elite, act like you've been there before. There's been plenty of men hit 3-point goals and run back down the floor and play defense. There's been plenty of men dunk on those rims and run back the floor and play defense.
Here's kind of what I have to say about it. I see what you're saying, and I don't totally disagree. However, that being said, these fans have been there before. A lot of these kids haven't been there before.
No. Those college fans are just like those college players. It's not the media or the old men that buy the tickets that are rushing the floor.
Exactly.
It's the fans who are college students who don't know any better than those players if that's where you're going.
Well, I think when you're a fan of one of these teams like University of Kentucky, there's a certain pride that comes with the traditions.
And there's a certain pride of putting on that jersey too.
Exactly. I'm going to get to that. That being said, it takes a lot more passion. It takes a lot more heart. It takes a lot more want to be a player than a fan. I can understand a player getting a little more fired up about hitting a three-pointer that puts you in the game. You want a little bit of that in your play.
Where do players draw their energy from?
Will you let me finish up here?
Where do players draw their energy from?
Gatorade.
Do you think that
$25 endorsement right there.
If UK plays at the middle school down here, do you think they're playing as hard as they're playing if they play in Rupp Arena?
No. That being said, you want a little bit of that competitive spirit in your players. I have a line that's a little farther to the left here, I guess, on this.
Okay.
I want a little of that. I don't mind the occasional chest bump. I don't mind at a timeout, you run, everybody on the jumps up, gives each other high fives.
Okay.
I don't mind the occasional. If you hit a 3 to put you up 1 with 10 seconds left, and you give it one of, if you're not watching live, I'm pumping my fist, a fist pump.
Is that the way it is in the game today?
Will you let me finish?
Okay.
I don't mind the occasion, but once again, know your role. No, it don't matter. If you're up 20 points and you throw it down on somebody, no reason to taunt that. If you do it every time, it loses its effectiveness.
Right. I'm not harping on UK here. Everybody from UK to Campbellsville University does this. Everybody. It doesn't matter if you're D1, D2, D3, NAI. Everybody does it.
I'm okay with when a guy hits a big shot, the fist bump and the Yeah, but I don't like the taunting.
If you're D1,
I don't like getting in people's faces.
Exactly.
I don't like the finger. I don't like this.
If you're
no suit for you.
If you're D1 playing a D3 school and you're at 15, go down the lane and dunk it.
Who cares? That's what you should do.
Right.
If you are in the NCAA tournament and you hit a 3-pointer to put you up 1 point with 2 seconds left,
yes,
you celebrate. If you're Jordan Samuels and you set on the free throw line with no time left and you put 3 in a row to win the ball game, you celebrate.
Exactly. That being said, Jordan Samuels ain't beating her chest after every possession.
Exactly. She gets her butt back and plays defense.
Exactly. Which is what every college player should be doing.
Exactly. And now, if you're a D3 school and you come in and you upset a Kentucky, you rush the court.
Do you know where this starts?
Where's this start?
It starts in high school with players that have been told how good they are and coaches that are afraid of their players.
It starts in Little League. It starts in Little League when your daddy's your coach.
I agree.
And you don't have to get back and play defense.
And continues into high school.
As long as you're getting fed that ball every time. That's a little bit of the problem that I'm going to get into in a little while when we start talking about local sports. I'd like to touch on that a little bit. That being said, my words to North Carolina, my words to the University of Kentucky, University of Kansas, Michigan State, Syracuse, and Duke, know your role. You are at an elite level. You're there for a reason. Know why you're there. Know how to act. My words to anyone who wants to think of themselves as one of the elite players in the United States of America, whether or not you play on one of these 5 schools, know your role. Know what you represent to those who watch you. Know what your taunting will lead to from those young children who watch you. That's all I can say about it, really.
I agree. I mean, I think they should know their place. I think that the players should know their place as well. But while we're here talking about college basketball, I was looking at this the other day for fun, seeing what the odds are for certain teams to win the NCAA championship as of right now. We're about a month out from the start of March Madness. And just some big teams here. We have Florida at 11-2. That'd be 5.5 to 1. Kansas at 6 to 1. Syracuse at 6 to 1. Michigan State at 9 to 1. One that's really surprising, Wichita State is at 10 to 1. And while Wichita State is a ranked undefeated team, I have a hard time believing that it's a general consensus that they're a 10 to 1 favorite to win against the big boys like Michigan State, Syracuse, Kansas, Florida, Kentucky, so on. So and then you got a second tier. You got Duke at 12 to 1, Arizona 12 to 1, Kentucky at 15 to 1, which I also find surprising because while Kentucky hasn't been good of late, They haven't been the team that we all thought they would be. I believe that they have the talent there that they could. That everybody. I believe that most people believe that Kentucky has the talent to win the national championship before Wichita State has the talent to win the national championship.
I couldn't agree with that more. And I think that that's the reason that Kansas has that 6-1 odds, because the talent that they came into the season with.
Right, and they're not playing anywhere near what people thought.
I think Florida's playing much better than Kansas, who has almost double the odds. Oh, he has a little less, 11-2. I'm sorry.
Right, yeah. The thing about Florida and Syracuse, I'm surprised that they're that high because of their lack of offense.
Exactly.
It would be very easy for them to get upset by a mid-major that can shoot the three ball really well, because they couldn't be able to outscore them.
Exactly.
There was two teams that really surprised me on this list, one of them being Creighton and the other one being Michigan. I know yesterday when I looked at it, they were 40-1. It looks like they've actually moved Creighton up to 28-1 and Michigan to 35-1. Creighton, I know I spoke to you about this earlier, McDermott is the best college basketball player I've ever seen. He can score the ball anytime he wants to. In Michigan, while they haven't played very well throughout the year, they've played really well against really good teams.
Yeah, that's kind of been Michigan's MO the past couple of years, is that they always pick it up against the big teams.
And that's who they're going to be playing in the tournament.
It's who they're going to be playing, the elite teams in the tournament, and I think that's going to help them more than anybody is that experience and that confidence they have when playing these elite level teams.
And I know they just beat Duke, so it will probably change, and it's easy for me to point this out. But North Carolina at 50-1 before they were playing Duke, was playing really well, won 6 or 7 straight.
Yeah, and this Duke North Carolina game we all knew was going to be a big deal. I'm sorry I didn't get to talk about it. Had technical issues to resolve, but. That being said, Duke's going to go play Syracuse now. Where does that leave us? Well, what are you looking at in this Duke and Syracuse matchup? We know Syracuse is a 6-1 favorite. 6-1 odds, and Duke is 12-1. So Syracuse, by Vegas standards, is twice as good as Duke.
Right. Here's the thing. I believe that we saw when they played the first time at Syracuse, they are very evenly matched in that
built about the same.
Yeah, and also. Syracuse is really good defensively, but Duke just has a lot of players that can shoot the three, from Hood to Parker to Dawkins. Just about everybody on that team can shoot from outside.
Exactly.
And we know Syracuse runs the 2-3 zone 100% of the game.
Exactly. That was what I thought was going to be the downfall. And I thought initially, when I made this guess, Syracuse hadn't been beaten.
Right.
I thought Duke was going to give them their first loss. Now they've lost. Now Duke has lost. That makes it that much more complicated to predict.
Right. When Syracuse lost at Boston College, I texted my father-in-law and said, well, it's over. Syracuse will beat Duke at home. They're going to be tore up. Then Duke gets beat by North Carolina at North Carolina, which isn't as near big as an upset as a 7-win team in Boston College beating Syracuse. That being said, I think Syracuse obviously still the favorite going into Cameron, but I believe the game should be just every bit as close as it was at Syracuse. And if you watch that game, Syracuse scored 91 points in that game, beat Duke 91-89 in overtime. And while it was in overtime, 91 points still a huge number for Syracuse. I think they scored low 50s in the game against Boston College the other night. I don't know that Syracuse can match that game again if Duke was to get hot and put up 80-plus points. That being said, if Duke plays to where they can't make the three, it could be a low-scoring game giving Syracuse the advantage. We could see a mid-50s or 60 game, which would favor Syracuse. Either way, I believe it will be a close game between the two.
Yeah, I think we saw during the last game what kind of potential this game has. And both teams are going to be more fired up now than ever. Duke is going to be more fired up after losing, not just to anybody, but to North Carolina. Syracuse is trying to reclaim that they are the best team in the country.
Right.
Which is going to be a game to watch.
And I believe that probably, they lost to a 7-win team, Boston College, but people generally consensus probably think that Syracuse is still the best team in the country.
Yeah. And I think losing to a team like that helps you more than losing to a good team.
Right.
You can say that's a fluke. We had an off night and come back. Well, if you notice, they did not play anywhere near how they played against Duke in that game, which is probably the best game of the year thus far.
Right. And I know it's been You've already done your what to watch. But if I could just give some what to watches in
Go for it. I stole a guarantee from you, so.
I would say if you're looking at the odds, the far odds here, Creighton, Michigan, and North Carolina. Oklahoma State at 65-1. That's a team that could be really good if Marcus Smart comes back, plays well, and everybody else plays to the ability they have.
Yeah, that's a team that easily could make a deep run. Could they win? I don't know, but I'd put $1 on it easy.
Yeah, if Oklahoma State, North Carolina, maybe Ohio State with Kraft still there, Michigan, Creighton, 5 teams.
Cincinnati came in and upset Louisville at home.
Yeah,
at 125-1. Look at those odds. But running out of time here.
Right.
This last segment's going to go a little smoother. I'll try and stay in my seat the whole time. So we'll be back in 4 minutes.